Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have The Secret of Christ's Tomb, Explorer Special from National Geographic, and it's, considering that Easter's this weekend, hey, this is some really weird, maybe preordained, uh, maybe it was prophesied that it would land like this. So hey, if you're looking for some Easter-specific, a little bit of education, a little exploration right around Easter, here you go. You got The Secrets of Christ's Tomb. It's 47 minutes long. It's from 2017, and it delves into the what is believed to be the burial place of Christ, where he rose from the dead. Now, whatever you believe, it really doesn't matter in this whole thing. Whether you believe in God or Jesus or anything else, or whether you believe, whatever, it really doesn't matter. What this is something that's really kind of fascinating. Is that it basically tells a story of how things are at this place. Things I didn't know at all myself. There are three different Christian factions that sort of work together, but not often, work together to oversee this site and protect it and make sure that it's kept up and that it lasts. Now, this thing has been around for obviously 2,000 years, and these guys don't get along too much. There are three very different sects and denominations that rarely agree when it comes to things. They kind of all haggle to get their own way. And the crew that's come in here that sees how this sepulcher is pretty much kept within a steel beam cage to keep it standing up. They hear information about how it's starting to crumble. Parts of it are starting to turn to dust, and there's a chance that it could just no longer be viable for anybody to be inside. The last thing you want is for this thing to become more people's tombs, and they're not likely to resurrect if they get killed in a collapsed tomb in the middle of Jerusalem. So the National Geographic crew, conservators, archaeologists, scientists, and the religious groups all work together to figure out how they can, one, determine the problems that this thing is having and fix them, and also not close it for any lengthy period of time. Because a lot of people make pilgrimages to this spot because it's honestly the center of the birth of Christianity. You can do the whole babe in a manger kind of thing, yes, the birth of Christ and everything else, but honestly, without nobody exactly, I don't think, knows. There's no cross to point to on a hillside when it comes to determining, where Christ was crucified, because that's not the main important part of the story. It's where he was resurrected, where he defeated death. That is the core of the Christian faith. So having to have a place to go that is the location where he was dead and buried, and then come back to life, well, it becomes a big holy place for a number of people. So a number of different people work together to research this, to scan this thing, to determine what's the best course of action to restore not just the parts that are crumbling, but as a whole. There is so much ornate things that are around this tomb, in a sense, that have been fallen into disrepair. There's even a spot that they mentioned that in the building itself where the tomb is kept. Again, you have to understand, this thing is 2,000 years old, so it's gone through a lot, and it's gone through a lot of protection by different groups. But there's a certain place where there's a ladder, like a broken ladder, leading from like what used to be a ledge to a window, and the bottom half of the ladder is no longer there, but the remaining part of the ladder is just stuck there, and those three groups cannot agree on what to do about that ladder. It's just there. It serves no purpose. It's just there. And since they can't make a decision, ever agree on the simplest of things sometimes, it was still there, at least at the time when they recorded this. And it's been there for centuries, actually. It dates back to, I don't know, 12th, 13th century, something like that. I don't know. But the main thing is that this temple, this whole place where this is being kept, has been destroyed by fire, by war, by all sorts of things for centuries, for thousands of years. And also being that Christians were not exactly popular folks at the time, especially after all of this happened. The Romans pretty much liked to claim they were all cannibals and just monsters and perverts and awful people, and would use them, obviously, they throw them to the lions, or they tortured them, or just killed them outright, and they were entertainment fodder for the most part. So there, in many cases, some of the Roman leaders would destroy whole swaths of areas that were considered holy. So one of those was the tomb of Christ. So it was hard to understand how this could even be found. At one point in 3rd century, Emperor Constantine became the first Christian ruler of Rome, the Roman Empire, and he sort of changed everything. He switched everything around, and he went for a search for that Christ tomb after all those years, and there's changes. There's a quarry near there, by the way. There's a whole lot of other details that I don't want to go into, because honestly, it's a 47-minute episode. It goes through these details, and it pretty much lays out the struggle to figure out whether this is the real place or not. And it goes down to the very last minute, because even though they find a way to get some of the restoration happen, spoiler, with the approval of those three factions who never agree on anything, there's still the mystery that they find something in the tomb that calls everything into question as to whether this is truly the tomb of Christ. And it goes down, they have to analyze the rock and everything else to see if this is something new that was added almost 1,000 years later, or if it was what was found in Constantine's time. And down at the very last minute, that's where they leave that little surprise as to whether it was or not. And but beyond that, it's fascinating again to see whether you believe it or not. To me, I find it interesting that yes, biblically, this is this tomb, according to the Bible, this tomb, and they quote the Bible a number of times throughout this special. That is a brand new tomb. It was recently carved out, and no one had ever been laid in there before. Now, being that it was just a tomb, and anybody in power had any respect for Christians or anything else, and didn't see it as a holy place except for those who were believers. Whoever owned that land, that tomb, wouldn't they have buried other people in there since and made use of it, and there would be other bones and remains in there since? Or was it only just a once and done? Because, honestly, if he rose from the dead, Jesus wasn't using it. So that becomes a bit of the mystery to me. That's not really covered. But that's my question. So, yeah, this might answer a bunch of questions for you about that time in Christian history and religious history. But it might cause a whole bunch more questions. I don't know. It's up to you to figure out. So yeah, it's the Secrets of Christ's Tomb Explorer Special. Yes, on Disney Plus, National Geographic event. And hey, it seems like it'd be the perfect thing to watch between Good Friday and Easter morning, because you're stuck inside. You ain't going to church. You're not. Don't go to church. Seriously, this is not religious oppression. It's just I want you guys to live to see next Easter. So don't go to church. But I'm sure your service will be online somewhere. So yeah, do that. All right. Let's see what we got for next episode. 520. It's one of those numbers again where I think we've done this one before, but it's not too far from. Yes, we did 520 before. It is Empire Strikes Back. I can tell you that right now. See, yeah, it's right in there. Boom. Did that recently. Man, we're getting a lot of doubles here, so it's time to pick another one. The 5 teens and the 20s are all Star Wars stuff, so I should know that by now. 162, dropping way low. 162, 162. I'm gonna scroll. 162. Oh, we already had this one too. Man, this is not a lucky last few days here. 162. It sounded familiar. 162 was Fantasia 2000. Back on day 101. Okay, we're going to have to keep looking. All right, here we go. 63. Going lower. 100, almost 100 lower. We've had 63 too. Come on. 63 was from day 7, Bizarre Dinosaurs. We would have had a third documentary in a row if we had actually grabbed that, between Jeff Goldblum, the documentary series in a sense, and the Christ tomb thing. So yeah, here we go. Oh man, can we beat our longest streak of hitting numbers? 188. 188. We've had multiple misses in a single episode before, but I don't know if we've ever done this far. Oh, 188. This is something new. It's a movie. It's in the F's, and we have not watched it before, and I had not seen it. I don't know what it is. I don't recognize the name. It could be a Disney Channel or Disney Magical World of Disney short or episode or something. I have no idea. Maybe you know what Buzz Bucket is. Buzz Bucket. Yep, 188. Buzz Bucket on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. We'll be back here tomorrow to see what it's all about. And honestly, maybe we'll, if it's not on, just like the other day with the Magical Mogorium, who knows? I'll be back in a minute to tell you. But otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow.